paper. I was just gonna let you call the names, the public participation.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes.
Will
And
you hand me the,
I don't have the paper.
just the gray paper, the brown paper that I read?
I don't have it.
Oh,
Somebody was supposed to bring it.
oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I thought that was it, I'm like, yes, you do, Shaquilla.
No. No, that's not. It's the affidavit.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No, I had asked for it, but I don't have it. Okay, I think we're on, so we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the work session for the Newton County Board of Education for today. Do I have up the right agenda? I'm sorry, my agenda says December 10th, 2019.
You
Forgive
should be able to
me.
click up at the top. Does it say a date? Yeah,
Mine did that the other day
and you
too.
can just have to scroll through.
There we go.
Yeah, they showed like the old.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, so now I'm right. August 18th, 2020. I'd like to welcome you to our meeting. I call the meeting in order at 7:08 p.m. Please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. Okay, tonight we do have public participation. Ms. Coggin will read the rules for public participation. Our participants signed up ahead of schedule. I know some people wanted to know how to get on public participation, so there's always a link. You have to sign up before noon. I do not know what day the link goes out. What day do you guys put the link out for people to sign up? The Friday before? So the link is always the Friday before, and it closes noon of the board meeting day, okay? So we have 5 people today for public participation. Ms. Coggin?
Public participation is the time that the board has set aside to encourage you as members of our community to voice your opinion on any matter, either included on or excluded from the printed agenda. A maximum time of 5 minutes will be allotted to a single individual or a single topic based on the number of requests. Complaints against any employee of the school system will not be heard unless the complaint has been submitted in writing to the superintendent at least 7 days prior to the board meeting. If unresolved, any personal complaints about school personnel must be put in writing for the board to review in executive session. Personal attacks against any member of the board will not be tolerated. Once the time for public participation has passed, discussion of topics will be restricted to the board members only. Thanks in advance for complying with this request.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any of the participants. They didn't come? Okay. They have the link though, right?
Yes, the email reminder went out to everyone who signed up today.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to give grace in case they're watching for you to use your link I'll give you about 30 seconds to click on the link. Okay, I think I'm at 30. All right, we'll move on. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, 4-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Superintendent's report?
Madam Chair, the superintendent's reports remain as presented and are ready for board action this evening.
Okay, thank you. Just to let those people know, this meeting will move a little fast today. That is because everything that's on the agenda today, we met about last week. So last week was our work session. This week is the regular session. So we had questions on the items on last week. We had a week to ask more questions via email or making contact. And so this week is about approving those items, okay? So there are no changes to the superintendent's reports that were presented last week. May I have a motion to move them forward?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
4-0, thank you. We have no old business. I'll move on to new business.
In new business, items A through I have been discussed and are ready for board action this evening, Madam Chair.
Okay, we review items A through I. All last week, we asked questions on A through I. Would anybody like to pull out any of the items separately? If so, we'll do them that way. If not, then we'll do it as one motion.
Madam Chair, I've got a question. On item H, are we setting that date tonight?
You don't have to pick your whole board training tonight.
Okay.
You can do it in the next board meeting,
Okay.
September 8th.
I was going to pull that one out if we needed to
Yeah.
for that very reason, but, okay.
No, because I actually have a suggestion about that based on something I'm going to say later on
Okay.
anyway.
Okay.
So, okay, anybody else would like to pull any items out? If not, may I have a motion to approve A through I?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
4-0, thank you. Item J,
In item J, the superintendent recommends the approval of personnel recommendations as discussed in executive session, and that is item J.
okay. Item J, may I have a motion for item J, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Having none, I'll call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0, well, I think 4-0. Mr. Johnson, are you aye? For J?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. 4-0. 4-0 for J. Other matters of interest? I have one, I'll start. Yesterday, we had a visit with the hospital. So there were a couple of us that went to the hospital along with the superintendent. We got a chance to do a tour, and hospital officials or executives, the executive director, the CEO, whatever Mr. Kent's title is, I don't know the exact title.
CEO.
CEO, okay. And then Dr. Little actually answered some questions for us on yesterday. And one of the things that is for certain that they said must happen as a requirement for schools to eventually open up and for things to take place is that masks have to be worn. He said that we know that that's what works. And so I know a lot of times, or when we first introduced that initial reopening plan, there was a lot of hesitation with the masks from parents, from some of the staff even. But in order to get things to work, everybody has to do your part. So you got to start wearing masks. The other thing too, if we want the buildings to open, in the buildings, you're going to have to wear masks. I know the language says expected, and that's why I asked questions, what does expected mean? But they did really reiterate over and over about the importance of masks. Actually, I want to share something that Dr. Little said, and he said that he felt safer in the hospital than in the community. He said because in the hospital, because masks are a requirement and everybody is wearing one, and we know that that works, I feel safer there, whereas when I go to Walmart or Kroger or somewhere and everybody doesn't have on one. So I'm pleading with everyone to get on board with doing what is so simple and just putting on a mask, please. That's one of the things that we need everyone to get on board. A couple of us who have social media has posted on some artwork that Mr. Bailey had a friend of his draw. And it talks about those 3 W's. But most importantly, Mr. Bailey mentioned last week, Ms. Schultz, Commissioner Schultz, actually came up with a slogan, do your part if you want schools to start. But I do want to share what that conversation was, yesterday. The other thing I had in other matters of interest is that, Ms. Fury, so many people have questions, and I know you're filtering out questions and try to answer questions from parents, from the face-to-face parents and now the sports and extracurricular parents. The one thing that I think everybody wants to know that maybe have a lot of concern is none of the situations offer a reassess date. So I would like for you to consider at least offering a reassess date, a date that you would look at. You list all these indicators, but you never indicate a date to reassess the situation. And many school systems are offering at least a date. I will look back at this date. I think that's important to give the parents, to at least give them some sort of hope in this situation. And then finally, my other matters of interest has to do with the appointment of the seat. A lot of people last week after the election, they assumed that Mr. Anderson Bailey, who will now be our new board member, was going to automatically come along. So I just kind of want to remind people quickly how it works. So technically, anybody who is elected this year gets sworn in the very next year. So Mr. Bailey actually will be on the ticket again in November, even though he'll be uncontested and he is the winner because nobody else is running, he still will be on the ticket in November. So his term actually starts January. So that is the time frame that he would be sworn in for the new term he just got elected for. And the other part of that is the late, great Mr. Alvin Turner, who served our board for so long, his term actually does not end until December 31st, 2020. So therefore, Mr. Turner's term is still on. However, the board has agreed that it is our due diligence to go ahead and bring Mr. Anderson Bailey, we got two Mr. Baileys, so I got to list names now, Mr. Anderson Bailey on. However, that's a legal process that we have to do because Mr. Turner's term is not finished. So what we have to do is file paperwork to appoint and fill that seat, the remaining term of Mr. Turner, with Mr. Bailey. And so that is why Mr. Bailey is not here tonight. So he will be filling the remaining term once we get paperwork approved and we can make a formal appointment at a meeting. And then his start, like real start for his term would be January. I just want to clear that up so that people are not like, where is he? Why isn't he on yet? So just want to let you guys know. And I have spoke with Mr. Anderson Bailey, and once all of that is through, he is going to accept that appointment. So, okay. Anybody else, other matters of interest?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So we've announced on our Facebook page and social media page what we're calling Parent Connect, which is a series of workshops that will take place beginning August the 21st through August the 28th, twice a day, 45-minute sessions on a variety of topics from the how to survive in a virtual world, and also things like special education services. And the experts in our team will be participating and sharing information and answering questions during those sessions. And so they are 10 o'clock in the morning and then 6 p.m. as well. And then on Saturday, August the 29th, there is a parent university that will have, I think, 5 sessions, 1-hour sessions that will be going through all the tools and resources in the district. So parents and students have an opportunity to learn how to use what's available to them in terms of the resources for virtual and for digital learning. The other thing is we are working on a restart plan that will have a gradual sort of return. It's incomplete, and so once we complete it, of course, we'll share it with the board, and then we will publicize that information. And my goal is to complete it at the end of this week. I'm working with principals. Tomorrow, we've got some principals meetings scheduled that will look at the proposal and sort of work out some of the details, because as I've said all along, I review the numbers every day, and I look at the numbers top to bottom. On Mondays, I get a report from the Department of Public Health, and I review the numbers on Monday evening. I look at the daily reports. I look at the Harvard reports. We even got a link from a parent that was a Duke screener that perhaps would have helped us look at, the classrooms and the number of students and square footage and all of those different things. And I shared that with the health department, and they decided that it probably wasn't going to be helpful for us. And so we will be able to share a restart plan, which will include an opportunity for students to return to in-person learning. So it's in the works, and everybody is working hard to try to get the information together and get it out there.
So I would like to just say, I would like to commend the superintendent and the executive team and all of the staff who's working on that plan. I know that's, it's complicated to chase 2 things at one time, but just from the district that I represent and all the kids in Newton County, I'm grateful that you guys are putting in those extra hours. And I know that comes with a lot of bumps and fast communication and trying to get stuff out, and, we just ask the community for a little grace in that.
Yes.
We're doing the best we can to communicate everything we can as quickly as we can and as clearly as we can, but we're going to hit some bumps and stuff as we do things as fast as we're trying to operate right now and trying to chase a couple of models at the same time. So we know it's complicated. I just want to commend this team for the work you're doing. I know you're not sleeping and you're putting a lot of hours in, so thank you for that. And thank you, Superintendent, for, just the announcement tonight that, again,
Yeah.
we want to go back in person when
Yeah.
it's safe.
Yes.
And when we can, and just thank you for working on that.
And if I may, also, we understand that folks are concerned about athletics, and we're looking at that. We're talking about trying to figure out how to make that happen, and to do it safely, to protect all of our children and all of our staff members. And so, just if people will just hang tight with us for a little bit of time, we'll get the information out there and share with everyone what the next steps will be. As soon as we can, we're working on trying to decide if the timing is right, and that's what we're doing now.
Well, thank you again for those considerations.
Mm-hmm.
Any other matters of interest?
Yes, I have a comment to make. I appreciate the information that you had by visiting with the CEOs of the hospital. And I gather from you that they strongly recommend that the use of the mask be part of our daily routines for our students, and how important it is. I'm trying to find, and I challenge my other board members to, we know that the mask is important, I agree with it, and it helps us to make our environment safe, and so that we can return with confidence our students. So why don't we elevate the requirements of wearing the mask to mandatory? If we are serious, and we want to be serious as what we do and what we say and what we expect, and the commitment from the community and from the board, why don't we make it mandatory? What is so difficult about using the word mandatory? We want to say it's required. Then anybody say, oh, gee, well, I don't have to, it's not required. Let's make it just like we have to, in a simple term, get our short records up to date. It's required, it's mandatory that you have your medical records up to date. So what is so misusing about the word mandatory that you make this a part of the medical records, so to speak, to put this mask on, and it's mandatory that you wear it. Let's stop kidding around with the safety of our kids. If we're concerned about safety, let's get it on. Let's make it mandatory. And I challenge my board members to come up and let's make this resolution and pass it so that our community will know where we stand on the safety of our kids. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Johnson, on July 7th, I said when the executive team and Ms. Fury said expected was the language, I stopped then and said, what does that mean? Because people are not going to understand that. And I said that it should have been another term used.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will accept your challenge, Mr. Johnson, and comment, and I can't speak on behalf of the superintendent and the team about the language, what it was chosen then and why. And it may be for other reasons, just because there's some kids that can't wear it, I don't know. But from the visit with CEO Kent, Dr. Little, the chief nurse yesterday at Piedmont Newton, it was clear to me that the reason they don't have any spread within their staff was because they've been mandating the masks and they've been following the protocol. And look, it was hard for some of their staff members to even get used to it, but they did. And it may be hard for some of our parents and some of our students to deal with it, but they will. Our students are resilient. Kids will learn to do what they need to do. But I don't have any problem joining. If it allows us to be back in person, I will say let's wear a mask. Let's make it mandatory. And then at the time when we can relax some of those protocol, then we relax those protocol. But if it means getting in person, mandate the mask now, I'm with you.
Well, I appreciate that, that stepping up. But, And that comes with, we recognize that people got a problem, issues, some of them, with wearing a mask. It's just like any other policies or procedure we have. When necessary, we make those adjustments. And my challenge, and those adjustments come stated within. So if you can't wear it, you got medical reasons, well, we reasonable people, we understand that. So that's not excluded. It comes with the territory. So I got two more people I want to hear from about making masks mandatory and know what direction that we go with.
I've been on board. That was my comment.
He's not talking about you.
Okay.
I agree with what Trey said, that as long as, it moves us back to getting in person, I am 100% in favor of it, and I am not in favor of this. I mean, it's very irritating, but if it means that we can get back to in person, I'm wholeheartedly for it.
What it's saying, Mr. Coggin, is that you heard what the doctor say. It helps, and putting it on is going to help us get back. That's the sole intent. So it's not a trade-off. This is just, I want to say common sense. I hate to use that word, but.
Indeed. Well, I don't disagree. I'm fine with mandating masks, requiring masks, expecting masks, all of those words that define that masks are important. I mean, we wear them in this building. We wear them everywhere if you leave your office space, you're wearing a mask. The teachers are wearing them in the buildings. Everybody's doing, the mask thing. And we're going to need everybody in the community to do the same thing. And lots of us are struggling to make that happen for whatever reason. But mandating a mask, is, and especially after, I was at the meeting yesterday, and I found it to be very interesting, and it was great to be able to have a conversation with Dr. Little, and we're working to schedule him to speak to our staff members so that we can, people can hear from him and his professional medical opinion, because I am definitely not a medical professional, and so he's going to tell it from his viewpoint, and it was interesting to hear that no one, and we've talked about it this morning in our team, just to sort of debrief, but that no one at the hospital has contracted the COVID-19 virus, and they attribute it to, and they're working with patients from the asymptomatic to the very severe, and their determining cause for not contracting the virus is that they've worn a mask.
No. Wait, cleared it up now. No one has contracted the virus
in the hospital.
In the
Right.
hospital from another patient.
Correct. Or from another
Staff
person.
member.
Yeah.
Right.
In the
They've
hospital.
gotten it
He said they
outside.
have contracted it,
Yes.
but it's been from outside.
Correct. And that's just like what's happening in the district office and in our schools. We're not giving the virus to one another within our structures. We're getting the virus outside of the building in our personal lives. And so that was very impressive to me, that they're working within the construct of their organization, and their job is to take care of all of these patients. And none of them, not only have they not contracted the virus, but they've not given it to one another within the walls of their institution. And so if that doesn't tell people the importance of wearing masks, then some people are just not gonna get it. And it's going to be a challenge, and when we bring kids back to school, we bring them to a congregate setting. That's a risky place and a potential for there to be problems. But he clearly said, Dr. Little clearly said, if the teachers are wearing masks and all of the students are wearing masks, the opportunity for the virus to spread is very small, very, very small. And so, that was really a good thing for him to share with us. And hopefully he'll share that very same thing with our teachers and our school staff as well.
Let me make one more comment in summary. You've heard the 4 board members say they make masks mandatory. You have agreed.
Yes.
And the executive staff here have heard all the things that we said about making masks mandatory. So let's get it on. Any directions, information from now on, you got to use the word mask. It's mandatory.
I don't
Is
think
that a
anybody
fair
has a
statement,
problem.
everybody?
Yeah.
I can't get,
And we're, hey, Mr. Johnson, we're good.
Everybody
We're
said
good.
yes, but they had masks on. You
Yeah,
couldn't
it's
see them.
hard to hear.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Any other matters of interest? Having none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Coggins, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned, 7:32 PM.